Hey there, it's Sam. I'm making this quick video. I'm actually at a Vedic Astrology conference. Down there are a lot of the world's best-known astrologers, and I was just teaching at a conference here. Great opportunity to reconnect with all of my Jyotish teacher friends. And anyway, I'm making this video because we've just recently had a big shift in the sky. Not only has Jupiter gone into Cancer, which a lot of people know, but also we have had a shift where Venus is in Libra, Mercury is in Gemini. Now he's retrograde, but he's still in Gemini, and Saturn is exalted in Libra. So we have Saturn and Jupiter exalted in the sky. Venus and Mercury are in their own signs, and this is going to continue until July 12th. I believe it's July 12th. So between now and July 12th, we have no less than 4 planets either exalted or in their own signs. And then after that, Venus goes into Gemini and is joined Mercury, and that'll happen until the end of July. So literally between now and the end of July, there's an enormous amount of wisdom, grace, intelligence, beauty, creativity flowing. Unlike really any other time I've seen, because it's very rare that you get both Saturn and Jupiter exalted. In fact, it happens, like maybe once every 60 years. So having them exalted at the same time, this is actually going to continue until November of this year. But between now and the end of July especially, you want to really concentrate on what you want to create. This is a long time coming because we've had a lot of heavy energy the last year or so, especially with Saturn and Rahu both in Libra. Those two malefics in Libra have been pretty challenging as far as our romantic relationships and all of our relationships with other people. In addition, we've had a lot of, those recent eclipses have been very heavy. So that's been dominating astrology for quite a while. Now that Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and now we have Venus and Mercury both also in their own sign, it actually sets up a lot of the energy of the goddess Saraswathi. There's a thing in astrology called the Saraswathi Yoga, which happens when Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are all either in angles or trinal houses. And it brings the blessings of Saraswati when that happens. That doesn't even include whether Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are in good dignity, whether they're in their own signs or houses or not, just when they're in angles or trinal houses. What we're having now, though, is all 3 of those planets in very high dignity, which means they're in their own signs. So the real wisdom of Goddess Saraswati is coming forth now, and it's a great time, as I said, of creativity and spiritual wisdom. Goddess Saraswati is the sattvic goddess, the goddess of purity. In many, and I would say in most circles, Saraswati is said to be Lord Brahma's daughter. Sometimes it's his wife. It's often his daughter. It's depicted to be a young girl, a young chaste girl without desire, and that sort of purity and devotion that comes from the mind of a young child or a young girl, like a preteen girl. My Guru Amma says that the goddess is most present in the mind of young girls, or in the presence of young girls. That's why they do a whole thing called a Kanya Kumari Puja in India, where they worship young girls. And so the purity and innocence and innate wisdom of young girls, of the young girl, developed and aligned with the Vidya, the wisdom of the cosmos, is what Goddess Saraswati, in a general sense, brings forth. And she's pictured, on a swan, playing a musical instrument. So this is evocative of high spiritual teachings as well as a fulfilling creative life. And it's a great time for you to, really try to understand your place in the cosmos. Again, because it brings together the power of Mercury, which is about intelligence, discrimination, Venus, which is about beauty, appreciation, devotion, love, and Jupiter, which is about righteousness and good teachings and principle. Because we're always learning something. We're always prone to certain teachings. And whether or not those teachings are uplifting or not depends on how Jupiter is disposed in our chart. So when Jupiter becomes exalted or in high dignity, our capacity to recognize a good teaching goes up. And so when you see someone who has a powerful Jupiter in their natal chart, they'll gravitate towards good teachings. And everyone is exposed to good teachings. But when Jupiter is harmed, they don't recognize it as a good teaching, and they don't have the proper discrimination to separate a good teaching from a bad teaching. And this is why, for instance, with Goddess Saraswati, you see the swan, and the swan is also called Hamsa. Jupiter forms a Hamsa yoga when he's in his own sign or exalted and in an angle. Hamsa is the nature of Jupiter, and Hamsa is also the word for swan. And the swan is a symbol of spiritual intelligence and wisdom, and being able to separate a good teaching from a bad teaching, much in the way that a swan can separate milk from water. Like if you put milk in water, a swan can come and just know how to drink the milk. So it's that spiritual discrimination to recognize a pure teaching, purity. And of course the swan is also white, except for in Swan Lake in Tchaikovsky's ballet with the black swan. But swans are white and they're pure, and they sort of glide upon the water. They just glide upon the water. They don't sink. They don't sink in the water, they glide upon the water. You see, they almost look like they're flying or something with those wings, like flying on the water. So the capacity to glide above the morass of confusion of the mind, of the world. And again, water is always related to the emotions and to the mind. And the emotional mind that goes up and down, those deep waves, that emotional ocean, and those waves that we're always riding up and down. You don't see a swan going root, 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 root. It's not riding up and down on waves. It's sort of floating upon what appears to be like a clear, still lake. Their motion is very reflective and ponderous. So these are very important things to ponder. You know, the symbol of Saraswati playing the musical instrument as well, and the symbol of the swan, which really connects me with Saraswati energy, is being shown in the sky right now with Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in their own signs. And it's bringing that recognition of good teachings, recognition of a guru of the highest order, and teachings of the highest order with love, beauty, devotion, just like the swan is beautiful. And there's something about beauty that gets our attention. Beauty leads to love. And anything that gets our attention is going to be important. So when something is beautiful, we want to look at it. We want to take it in. And Mercury, which is about discrimination, which is about also separating fiction from truth. And also as it relates to the emotions, which can appear to be truth, can appear to be absolute, but are actually momentary blips on the radar screen. And we lose ourselves in the momentary stimulation of the senses rather than seeing beyond it and seeing deeper. So literally between now and the end of July, we're going to be under the blessings of Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and also Saturn, who's been exalted since off and on since the end of 2011. So really make this a time for intense study. And it doesn't mean intense in the sense of like, you know, punishing yourself, but gravitating towards the teachings that you love. And this is what will happen, is suddenly you'll feel a newfound love for your teachings and for your principles and for those things that really feed you and make you feel alive and inspired and whatnot. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. I've personally been experiencing that enormous grace since the end of last week, actually right since Jupiter went into Cancer. I've been at this wonderful Jyotish conference where I've been talking to students and teaching, and it's been a great opportunity to really meet a lot of great teachers and a lot of my students, and reconnect and become refocused on these amazing teachings. And I want to thank you all for listening and for being a part of my growing community, not just mine personally, but the growing community of Vedic astrology and Vedic wisdom. So thanks a lot. and let me know what you think of this.